Call the Board of Works meeting to order. Phyllis, could we have a roll call?
Craig Koshaw, absent. Bill Carbach,
Here.
Ken Meyer.
Here. You were emailed a copy of the minutes from our October 15th meeting. If you have any corrections or amendments to those.
No, I'll make a motion to accept as emailed.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. First thing, I want to make a matter of record that we did advertise that our meeting was changed from the 5th. It was posted, rather. Yeah, it was posted that we changed the meeting from the 5th until the 4th for the Board of Works meeting and the Common Council meeting.
Yep. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, Kevin. First thing we have is the utility meter situation.
Okay, as you know, we lost our meter reader a couple weeks ago. So I've been out doing some of the readings. We're finding a few discrepancies in some of the readings that we're coming across, and I contacted the State Board of Accounts and asked them what their opinion was on the situation, and they said bring it before the Board of Works, get their approval or their consent on what the next step. So what I've been doing with those accounts that were off.
Excuse me. Is that mic on?
Red.
It is on. Touch it. See if it's... Okay.
With those accounts is I've been billing them for their average that they've built up over the years for this next month, and then moving forward we'll have correct readings to go forward with. So I guess according to State Board of Accounts, I just need your blessing to keep doing that, or your guidance on to go a different way.
Okay, and they were very specific about the city not having a problem if some of those readings were way off.
No, their stance was from an audit standpoint, as long as I presented to the Board of Works and went with their direction, that's all they would be worried about.
Okay. And I would suggest that we do what the State Board of Accounts says and just stay the course, do what we're doing, and keep us posted down the road.
We'll do. And with that,
do we need a motion second to approve that? You make
I'll make that motion, yeah.
Bill made that motion. I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Go ahead, Kevin. You had some other things, I think.
Yeah, and along with that, I did order, we're going to try and get a lot of those meters changed out this winter. I ordered 325 meters last week, so should be getting those in the next week or so, and then over the winter, get a lot of those swapped out.
And these are the meters that read
Yeah.
easy readers?
Yeah, the readmatics, you actually have to go up to the house and read it, yeah.
You do?
Yeah, they don't, it's not the drive-by meters, it's the ones you physically have to walk up and read the box.
You ordered the ones that you have to read?
Oh, no, the ones that I ordered, yeah, are the new
drive-by.
style, yeah.
Digital.
I
thought we were going to...
Why would we replace them with meters you have to read?
I thought we were going to make that job a lot easier, huh?
Yeah.
See, one of the challenges that we've been facing with that is 20 years ago when they started replacing those meters, they would replace a few at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those 20-year meters are now
Going out too.
going out. So we've never had a complete turnover on those meters. So what we started doing last winter is I would give in 2 or 3 guys, and they would go out over a shorter period of time, replace a bunch of them. Well, we need to pick that up and do more to try and get those caught back up and still get over the hump.
What kind of life are we looking at?
The new style meters are supposed to be 15 years.
15 years. So you'll have to adjust it so that every 15 years we have a new set of meters? Is that what we're saying?
Well, you don't change them all at one time.
No, I know, I understand.
They'll phase out, so the ones we're changing this year. You know, and some of the meters, they last 20 years, some of them last 3. So
Okay.
it just depends on battery life and stuff like that.
You'd even talked about possibly having master meter come in and change out.
They
I mean, that's kind of the pipe dream, but...
Yeah, for quite a bit of money, they would come in and change them all out. In about 3 months, they'd make the appointments to do all the changes. But you're talking...
And that's not needed?
No, not necessarily, no. And it's, $1 million to $2 million to do that too, so.
Okay.
Well, I feel a lot better that in 15 years, I know that we'll have new meters.
Which I'm hoping within the next year to year and a half, they're all drive-by meters, so.
What would you say it was, about 15?
We have about 1,500 that need changed out to get to all drive-by.
Good. And you got 325. And that's the 325, that's something that our guys will change out
Yeah.
just as we can on days that...
Yep, they
As
slow
they
in
get
the winter.
older, as there's not a whole lot to do, they, you know, what were they doing, 10 a day last winter?
Usually, yeah.
On average?
Yeah. And normally we do 2 to 4 a day. So we were doing that plus an additional 10 a day. So.
Okay.
But with going forward into that software, it makes things a lot easier on the reading and possibly even,
Yeah,
depending on how far we go, a possibility of being able to read them here.
Yeah, that's the eventual goal, is to be able to click a button on the computer and it reads all the meters in town.
Yeah.
Instead of having to go out physically at all. So that's a little ways off though.
Okay.
You gotta look up to that.
2 weeks, maybe we can kind of discuss the plan on
The meter.
replacing the meter
Yeah.
reader and
Yeah.
et cetera, after you've got one
Currently,
full month of
yeah,
cycling.
I'm not going to fill that position. We're making do with myself and a couple other people. And we'll see how the next month or so goes and see if we can still keep that up.
Kevin's been putting in some long days, and I thank you for it.
Yep.
Yeah. He's been having to go out and walk the meter routes. Some of them may only take an hour some days, but some days it takes a long time because they're
Yeah.
very spread out and there's a lot of them. So it's different every day.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next thing you have. I think it's the notice to proceed with phase 2 of the water utility. Is that right?
Yes, we have a contract with Midwestern Engineers for the second phase of the water improvement projects. This is just, they need written authorization to move forward with phase 2 of that, which includes rehabbing the Winchester water plant and redoing the main from Byrne to Monroe.
And it's your recommendation to stay with Midwestern?
Yes, yeah.
And I have the contract here.
So we just need a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the phase 2,
Notice to proceed.
notice
Yeah.
to proceed.
If you look at the contract that was signed a couple years ago, the maximum that could be charged for Phase 2 services are a total of $625,000. That's for all engineering, it's for all of the work related to bidding out 4 separate contracts as they proposed in Phase 2, because there's different aspects of that. And in addition, then there's some geotechnical work that needs to be done. And I think there were a couple other minor amounts that were added for different types of services that were included, so.
You been happy with Midwestern?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, on the water side, they've been real helpful. Need to work with them a little bit on the wastewater side to get them in gear to make sure.
Okay.
And is this the value engineered aspect on this one too, or is that, did we do that on the,
The guarantee.
no, I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing, guaranteed savings contract?
Yeah, I still need to I need to look over to Coasting's contract to see how that was worded. I believe phase 2 was included into that contract.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
I need to go through it one more
Okay.
time to make sure. Because I believe it's something similar, they need a notice to proceed to, which Midwestern wants to start now, Coasting wouldn't start until next year at some point.
Okay. And what I would also recommend is that if you proceed to authorize the mayor to sign the notice to proceed, that this notice also be given to Tom Pittman as bond counsel and to Crow as the financial advisor, because it's, as of the first of the year, you're going to have to start the process of moving forward with bonding in order to have the funds available to start these projects in the spring. The rate increase goes into effect January 1, the second phase of rate increases. So you can't really do the bonding until the rate increase is in place.
How much is that rate increase? This one coming
A
up?
minimum bill, I believe, was $6 and some change. I don't know right off the top of my head.
Did we do it by dollars, or did we do it in terms of
$6.71.
percentage, or how did we?
Our billing scale, basically, the more water you use, the
Yeah.
cheaper it gets. So it's just
Okay.
a percentage per each one. Yeah.
So at the minimum user, their bill's going to go up roughly $6.
671 is off the top of my head. I
$6.71.
can't say that's correct, but that sounds
Okay.
right.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we,
Move forward with signing of the contract with Midwestern for Phase 2 of the utility water improvements. Sound right? That's what you were going to say, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Give them, you the authority to go ahead and
Yes.
sign it. Yes, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Fellas, can I borrow your pen and I'll sign this while I have it? There's a signed copy for you. Is this NIPSCO something we need to look at also, or?
Yes.
Okay.
This is just an agreement with NIPSCO that to extend the gas main to the new water plant.
Okay.
A couple of things with that. We initially thought it was going to cost $30,000 to $40,000, and they're not going to charge us anything, so that's good news.
Really?
And Tim, I went over a couple of your notes here. I do need to get the e-verification from them. And then as far as easement permits, that I'm agreeable with all that. That's similar, that we would do the same thing with our utilities, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tim, you've looked this over, you had a couple of minor...
Yeah, I noted, I flagged some things for Kevin to look at. There's some commitments that the city's required to make, some conditions to it. So as long as he's comfortable with that, I am.
So are you looking for an authorization to
Yeah,
sign this?
It's just that we're responsible for any permitting, we're responsible for showing the easement location in the form of a plat, so, which I would recommend anyway, so.
In which, yeah, in which Coasting has that information there for the easement, or they're going basically in the same easement as AEP was,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the NIPSCO agreement. And a second.
A motion and a second for me to go ahead and sign the NIPSCO agreement for the extension to the gas lines out to the new water plant. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
That all you got, Kevin? That wasn't so bad.
Thanks, Kevin.
You want your marked up?
Yeah, that's fine, thanks.
Doing a good job, buddy.
He sure is. There's that. Okay. Kurt has a couple things. Number one, him and Les have been working on the new position of Assistant Building Department Superintendent / Fire Marshal. It's a shared position, and Kurt wants to quickly give us the short title version of the new pay structure that they've kind of come up with on that position.
So basically, we've done 2 interviews so far. We have some really good candidates.
Yeah.
But one of the things we've been addressing with these candidates is we have allotted X amount of dollars for salary, but they will not be brought in at that salary. They'll be brought in lower. And as they get certifications, they'll get so much of a pay raise. But they can't get these certifications unless Les and I agree that, okay, now you can go take your test. We don't want them to come in and try and pound out these tests just so they can get maxed out on their pay. I've already informed them there's no way they're going to get all their certifications in a year. They'd be lucky to get them all in 2 years.
That was my next question, is what kind of time frame? How many certifications? 5?
5 of them total. The first one he'll need is residential building inspector. The second he'll need is residential plumbing inspector. Reason plumbing is because the plumbing you have to be a licensed plumber in the state of Indiana. After that, he could either do fire inspector, or he could do residential electrical, and then the very last would be commercial building inspector. That one's going to take a while.
I would have to think that's going to take them a little while anyhow for all of those.
Yeah.
Unless you got somebody that's just as qualified as you coming in.
Well, my expectations for at least the residential building inspector should be 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
He should be able to pull that off in no time. The other item is, Tim, we need to draw up some paperwork. If we're going to pay for this person to get his certifications, for instance, I came in with the certification. If we're going to pay for this person to get the certifications, I want to guarantee that he's going to be here for X amount of time after he gets his certification.
Kind of like what we do with the police contract.
You know, if we go through and I start allotting for clothing, you know, it says Decatur on it and everything else, if he decides to bolt before that time period's up, he's got to pay us back for all this.
How are you structuring the pay then? Or, you know, as they get each certification, does that increase their pay by a certain dollar amount? $1,000?
$1,000.
Okay, so what I'd suggest you do is have some kind of an agreement signed that spells that out, that this is your starting salary, you have the ability to move up to this once these certifications are obtained at the tune of $1,000 per certification. But certification, a pursuit of certification must come with the approval of the two of you before they go forward. And, you know, they're with the expectation that you're not going to unreasonably withhold their ability to increase their pay if they're at a point where they should get that.
But our plan is to have some pre-testing in-house so that, you know, because it's $200 to set these tests. So, you know, we're going to kind of tell them when we feel like they've met some criteria to set the test. So
You don't want to burn through multiple testing fees.
Right. And I will tell you right now, it is very easy to flunk one of these tests. It's a time test, and they never give the same test twice. It doesn't matter. There's 500 questions that the computer pulls from for a 60-question test. And they'll have 2 hours to complete. So.
Okay. If you would, just give me kind of a bullet point of the things you want included in the contract, and I'll draw it up then.
What's the timetable that you want to retain this employee after meeting certain qualifications?
I'll say at least 2 years.
that's what we
2?
At least 2 years.
Is that
From
after
the
the first
time
certification?
From
from the time they got the last. So if they got their electrical,
in April of next year, then he's got to work 2 years
From that.
if he doesn't get
so
his certification.
every time he takes a cert test, that
2 year
window moves
goes out.
That
back
window
2 years.
moves up, yeah.
Unless otherwise terminated or doesn't follow the rules,
Terminated
whatever.
or-
Okay.
Correct.
And if he walks out the door before he's reached all 5 certifications, whatever we paid in the form of test fees and uniforms, that sort of thing, he'd have to reimburse the city.
Correct.
And what percentage basis do you usually do that on, Phyllis? Is it 20% a year?
When the police, when they leave, you give them time to pay it off. How do you base how much?
We're going to
time
do this
they have to pay?
50% for the first year and second year if they quit in the first or second year.
Really set anything.
My only point is
Just so
that
they
if
pay.
you're going to nail it to 2 years, that's 50% first year and a extended term of 12 months divided by 50%.
Correct. So
Is that fair
after-
to you?
Yes, after the last certification. So
We've had a lot.
if he gets his certification in
Right
April,
off the get-go.
the last certification is next April, and then he's there a year, and then he quits. Okay, I can see that.
Okay.
We could go percentage.
So basically, you're going to boil it down to 24 months after certification based on a formula that requires 100% payback within those and then backs up to the percentage per month.
Correct.
Okay. You need a motion?
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we take under consideration and allow the mayor to sign.
Well, no, actually,
after
for Kurt and Tim to work together, come up
Kurt,
with
Tim, and
that.
Les to work together on this contractual agreement
Yep.
to where that after the final testing or the last testing that they're required to get for that job, or if they're intermediate testing, that they will have received 2 years, prorated per month based on 100% of the over a 2-year period, 24 months, 2-year period for reimbursement back to the
Kurt and
city.
I both really doubt that, I mean, that those 5 could be done with.
Right.
We're not going to require them to be done within 2 years. We think that's a pretty tight window.
I think they're going to have their hands full.
So
Yeah.
you know, it could be 3 years.
I'm just trying to lay the groundwork
Yeah,
for
so
you guys
we'll
to
just
work
make
with,
it
so
so
you
that
have
it works within.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if they've only gotten 3 certifications and they walk out the door, then we're going to require that they reimburse us for those plus whatever expenses of uniforms, and then it's just a matter of over what period of time it's spread out for them to repay us.
on a prorated basis with the months of 24.
24.
Okay. You agree with that? Yep. Sounds good. What do you say? I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Kurt, also, Don, you got some pictures for Schermeyer, or Kurt has them? Okay.
I've got the history. Bill, you're very familiar with it. So we've been dealing with this property since March of this year. And what you have in front of you is a list of dates for every involvement we've had with this property. What makes this really odd is the gentleman who owns the property is Kenneth Frabeck. Currently, he is in prison at Westville Correctional Facility, and he will not be out of prison until around next Christmas.
Not this coming Christmas,
Not
a
this
year.
coming Christmas, next
About
Christmas.
14 more months.
The people who were living in the home was Paul and Diane Ketchum. When I first got involved with this, I was called by one of Decatur PD. There was a drug overdose, and Decatur PD realized that there was no electricity running the house, and they were running off of a small generator. According to our ordinance, all utilities must be intact. Otherwise, I have to come in, I have to condemn the home. After further investigation, I found out that they were way behind on the water bill, and that very next day, the water was turned off. So now they're minus 2 utilities. We had Diane Ketron vacate the premises. I told her she couldn't stay there without utilities, and I cited her the ordinance. At that time, Paul Ketron was in Adams County Jail for parole violation. The only thing this document here doesn't show is that when Paul Ketron got out of jail, he called me, and I explained the whole situation to him, and I told him, you know, look, if you can get your utilities turned back on, I'll let you back in the house. For the time being, you're only allowed in the house to get personal possessions. Paul agreed to it. Actually, I also told him that we cited him for certain rubbish they had around the property, and he needed to get that cleaned up. He actually started to clean it up.
That was approximately when?
About 7/16.
Okay, I see.
Okay. And over the course of the next couple of weeks, he was doing a pretty good job. Bill can even testify to that. Well, a few weeks later, heavy trash pickup rolls around. We go down, and the mess is 10 times worse than what it was to begin with.
He helped Jeremy out a lot.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, this is just the front yard. On 10/9, I visited the site again, and it was pretty bad. I left notices on the front door and the rear door for them to call as soon as possible, and I've heard nothing since. We did obtain a phone number from the water department for, I believe it was for Diane Ketron, and we made several attempts. The mailbox is full, could not leave a message. So the only other thing we could do was send a letter to Kenneth Fryback, which we did on 10/23. Since he is the owner according to tax records,
He has to be given notice.
we gave him notice. That will expire on 11/22. I've also been told that there is a warrant out for Paul. For parole violation. They were actually staying, there's tents back here. On the weekends, they were staying in the tents.
They were there the day I was out there, so it wasn't a weekend, but I could tell they were living there, so.
That was like as of around sometime in October?
Yeah, it was, it's here that I spotted the tent, and I came back and told Kurt
Yeah, here's the tent.
that they were living in that tent, and I didn't want to go back and confront them without a police officer, because I've had kind of a run-in with these people before, and they're not pleasant. And then that's when when we found out they actually were living in the tent. I noticed that some of the siding, the aluminum siding, was off the house in the back.
It's all off.
And I told Kurt, I said, I think they're salvaging that house. I think they're going to tear as much valuables out of that house and sell it, because they must be in need of money. So I guess the way Kurt's talked now, they've taken all the siding off that house.
With the exception, if you see the back of the house, that's the gable end. That's the only part that has aluminum siding on it.
And it
Was
wasn't
the yellow house, is that the house?
That's the house.
Okay.
And it's not even their house, which really makes things complicated.
Yeah, we don't know what the relationship is between Kenneth Fryback and the Ketrons are. But
And we don't have any other next of kin to Kenneth Fryback.
not that we're aware of.
All right, Mr. Attorney?
You give him notice, it gets complicated because he's in prison.
Do you have any idea age of the person?
Early to mid-50s.
I know some Frybacks back from the southeast.
Because he maybe never talked to the guy in prison. He doesn't know if he was living in this house or not.
Well, no, according to Diane, he sold the house to her.
Sure.
But according to tax records,
Sounds like Nick
his
Cost.
name's all over. So
he started on a contract, over the contract.
the bad part is they tore the siding off, and as you can see, the old siding has holes drilled in it where somebody blew in insulation. So now all that's opened up. That's all the way around the house. It's all opened up to the weather. It'll get to the point where much longer I'm going to have to come in and ask for an order to demolish.
Okay. I think that, we want to take that place down. We want to clean it up, take it down. But legally, we got to find out. And
You've sent notice, you've given him until November 22nd to abate.
22nd.
If he doesn't, then we can go in and clean it up. And we can file the appropriate paperwork to try to attach that as additional taxes and collect it that way. And then you're probably looking at serving a notice on the home itself. And again, you have to serve a notice to abate, and if they don't follow through, the issue is, because somebody's in prison, it may be difficult to get him to appear in court, and that may be a defense to moving forward, at least with regard to the real estate.
In the last letter we sent, we asked we ask that him or a representative,
Right.
whether a lawyer or a family member, please contact our
Yeah.
office, phone number, email addresses.
And a lot of times, those that go into prison sign a power of attorney for somebody to act on their behalf. So if he happened to
Is there
do
any
that,
way we
that
can
person,
find that out through our courts? I mean, was he
it's not a
sentenced?
recorded, unless it's of record, and the only way you do that is do a lien search, but
No, I mean, if he's in prison, if it's from something he did
we
in
could
Adams
contact the
County.
courts or the prison system to see what it would take to get him back here for a hearing.
This is the garage that was to the side of the house. Somebody's been living there. There's a makeshift bed in there, recliner.
Crazy.
I think if we do nothing else but to clean the whole exterior of that property up, I mean, it's going to be some work for Jeremy, a lot of work, and keep track of the time and effort we made there, and then, like Tim said, then we put a lien on the property, at least we're cleaning a little bit of the neighborhood up, that the people next door don't have to look at this
Right,
stuff.
because we did have a neighbor come in on 1031 and complain.
Oh, well, sure. Especially since we've been working on Schermeyer and cleaning the
That's on the
area
door.
up.
That was on the door.
Employees.
Well, yeah.
Well,
And if you get it cleaned up in the back, then maybe they won't hang out there anymore.
If there's no tent and
Yeah,
no...
there's no tent, there's nothing there. But yeah, it's gone. This property's...
So we got it, he has until the 22nd.
He has until the 22nd of this month.
In the meantime, between now and the 22nd, should we check with the Adams County courts to see if there's any way of getting any other...
I could try, but it's really through the prison system. You can't default somebody if they're in prison, and they're not allowed to be in court to defend themselves. So, you know, if we can make arrangements, if we have to go to court to condemn the house and we have to bring him in,
Okay.
then we'll have to work with the prison system to get him here.
Well, let's see what we can find out. We have until the 22nd. Our next meeting is the 19th, so we can finish discussing this on the 19th, if that works for everybody. Good with you guys?
It's
I
fine.
don't need a motion or anything, that's just what it is. Good deal. Thank you, Kurt. We need to make a matter of record the certificate of appointment for Corey Ham, who was promoted to sergeant with the police department. And Phyllis has that here, and we need to sign it as the Board of Works.
There's 2 copies.
There's 2 copies. May I borrow? Here, I'll take this over here. Do we do that by motion, or we just do it?
We make a motion to...
Somebody want to make a motion?
matter of record.
To make it a matter of record?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
2 copies. Thank you, men. Sign that. Don, quotes for emergency sewer repair. Don was out and about. It's down on south, well, is it South 3rd or North 3rd? Just north of Adams on 3rd Street, correct? Yes. Between there and the service complex.
50 feet out of the manhole. Maybe some pictures if you guys want to see it.
Isn't that the same intersection down in Downey that we had a major sinkhole there?
Yes, they
About
replaced the
a
manhole.
couple years
My
ago.
understanding about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yep.
What is that curve? And now we have basically a void underneath the road that's about somewhere around 4 to 6 feet long, maybe back in there at 3 feet. And that sewer is about 16 to 18 feet deep.
Yeah.
So,
Did you say it's about 50 feet long?
I'm going to replace about 58 feet, just shy of 60 feet, so we can basically replace, so we only have one joint replacing it versus multiple connections. You know, if we did, there's a new manhole, so I have plastic pipe out of that new manhole, I have a makeshift connection there, then we'll go, you know, another 40 feet and do another makeshift connection. So I'm trying to keep from doing that basically, and by replacing a larger section of it. As you look on the, get up to that portion. So there's one hole in the side of the pipe, and as we go further, you'll see where the pipe just disappears off to the side. We're coming up to it right there. That's a large cavity right there that caused major problem, or will. The road will collapse.
Is that under a road?
Yeah. It's in the center of 3rd Street.
Yeah, right across from the funeral home.
So what I've done is I tried to get 2 quotes per cut.
Oh.
Basically said they wouldn't be competitive to bring the amount of boxes you need to dig that up, that short little stretch. So we got a price for plumbing, and I just got him scheduled to do the emergency repair.
Has to be done. What's this quote? Do you have?
27, just shade over 27. And that's asphalt, backfill, everything, basically.
The whole job.
The whole job. I don't have to touch it.
Nice, okay.
So is this north of where they...
This is north of the manhole that was replaced, about 50 feet. As you can see, I think it's at 58 feet, 58.8 out of the manhole. And then once you relieve that portion, I mean, other than I need to get the debris out of it, it seems to be salvageable.
Would you say that pipe is what?
18 inch, and that's concrete.
It's concrete.
So how old is that?
140 years, I don't know. Over 100 years.
What's the 13, 29
Time.
Time?
time?
Yeah. The other's the date.
Yeah, I caught the date. Okay.
So, but that's basically what we're looking at. I don't want the road to collapse. Start going through freeze thaw, it'll get worse.
No,
It collapsed at that corner.
Yeah, and that
Anyway.
sewer takes care of the funeral home, Adams Street right there. There's quite a bit comes through there.
When's Fleming going to be able to do it?
He said the second week of November.
Okay.
They'll have a meeting again on Thursday. I should be able to pin him down probably with the date. They've came and measured it, so they're ordering material.
So they have to do it soon.
Yeah, and they know if the road drops, they have to come right away.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of how we left it. Get it here in the next couple of weeks, but if it fails and collapses completely, they'll be up the next day.
How big is that section you think they're going to replace?
I'm going to do about 58 feet to 60 feet of pipe.
Okay.
From the manhole to that break.
Okay.
That way I only have one connection to depth from the plastic to the concrete. That concrete's probably so brittle that eventually we'll have to line that section the rest of the way. It's about 427 feet from the manhole to Jefferson Street. Problem is when it hits Jefferson, it does a 45 and then blind taps into the brick sewer. There's no manhole to access it, so it's going to have to get a manhole added and some things done in order to line it. It's not an easy task.
So it heads east on Jefferson?
Yes. So once we hit the brick sewer, we're in great shape again. We've got a section there. And it's not, I think we get this bad spot that buys us a lot of time. It's not leaking right now. There's one tap that needs addressed, which I think we really need to consider to let plumbing do that too while it's here. It's 15, 16 feet deep and it serves the complex. They tapped into that pipe and there's no, they cut out about a 2x2 square out of the pipe doesn't appear that they put anything back around it other than some chunks of tile, so it's pretty bad connection. It appears to be dirt when you run the camera up there and look at it. So,
And that's coming out of the complex?
that's the one about where the people enter and exit the fitness center.
Yeah, right there.
In that area.
that'd
If
be
you drive down 3rd Street, you'll see the paint marks on the road where...
Be about 50 feet there.
Yeah.
Did you get
a
cost for that?
I did not get a cost for that because they're not quite sure what they're going to have to do there.
That would be classified as time and material.
Yeah, they don't know what the tap's going to, what it's going to, when they dig down to it. And maybe, I'm hoping it's that we can just put a patch over the pipe, not have to actually remove it. Because they physically cut that section when they put that tap in, so it's not a broken, jagged problem, it's just open.
It wasn't filled
It wasn't backfilled or sealed properly, so you might be able to put some sort of plastic connection over it to cover it, seal it back up.
Well, it sounds like it needs to get knocked out. I'll make a motion that we go on with the $27,000 repair by Fleming to take care of that 58-foot long stretch on 3rd Street so we don't lose a road 16 foot down.
Second, yeah. Would you want that tap taken care of? That'd be time and material.
I'd almost make the recommendation, too, that if this was, while they're in here, that we go ahead and take care of that other tap, too.
Yeah, that's my feeling too, once we get there.
Are you talking another $5 grand, another $20 grand?
Probably another 6, usually a day, take a day to dig it up.
I recommend that, too. I'd make it part of the motion.
It'll come out of the sewer bond repair.
Yeah, I would say that I agree, and let you make the judgment call on that. If it's out of line, then you let us know, we'll go from there, but...
Right. I think we'll work it in.
All right. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Don, did you have anything else?
Other than I would like to ask for some help here in the near future. I've been using Tom right now from Cary. I stole him. He's been helping me camera, clean, do storm sewer inspections. I'm just really getting covered up. I'm not keeping up with my storm sewer side, so I'm going to ask for some help here in the near future. You guys be thinking about that for a bug in your ear. We've got this deadline I got to meet, so in order to keep storm sewer side being inspected and checked on, I need a little help.
Right.
With Kevin going to be needing someone for meter reading, uncertain of how much time of day that's going to take, we might be able to share something between Cary and Water. And
Carrie's been real helpful by giving me Tom, so, but she's running one guy down then, so.
Yep.
Just, and she, like I said, she's helping. I mean, we're cleaning sewers and doing that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's part of her department, so it needs to be involved too, so.
Yeah. And it's kind of a good fit for Tom right now. He likes doing it too. He's been working out real well.
Good.
But just a bug in your ear that we really need to look at that. I mean, right now I'm still in compliance with everything, and they graciously said we did not need to submit a report for the end of this year for our MS4, so that saved 2-3 weeks worth of work on my paperwork on my end. I'm probably still going to gather all the information and have it available in case they change their mind at some point, but I copied Ken on the email I got that pretty much said they weren't doing it this year. So.
Carrie, do you have any recommendations on that?
I think Tom would like to lead by department, so it may be a beneficial thing. He seems to be getting along well with Don, that we just replace him from the consumer perspective and he stays up there with Don.
So instead of Don needing somebody, you will need somebody to replace. Okay. You want to come up and talk about it, or are we all good?
Well,
we're just putting the bug in your ear right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think under an agreed order, we probably better follow code and stay on top of this. And if Carrie can spare, but if you do need somebody to replace, then my recommendation that you put out applications or whatever the qualifications that you need for that person, and take the steps to where if you have to have that before the end of the year, in a timely manner, that keep us posted.
But I guess Tom is one of your employees. What Don is working on is for your department, so I don't see a problem having one of her employees working with you.
I just don't want to shorthand her out of the plan.
That's my point.
That's Carrie's call when it becomes a problem for her. Because we're doing storm and sewer. I mean, Tom's been doing the storm sewer inspections on the outfalls. They all have to get inspected and photographed before the end of the year. Supposed to. So
Okay.
that takes about 3 weeks to do every outfall in town. Takes a while. And you got to do it in fall when the leaves are off, so you can find them. Anyhow, just putting bug in your ear. But Carrie's been gracious to giving Tom, so it's working out right now. And I don't know what it's doing.
That would be her call.
Yeah. When it becomes a problem for her, then
Exactly.
we have to address it.
And we're agreed to take care of it. Carrie, if you want to go ahead and fill that position now, you probably can.
Doesn't Don have to post the job?
Well, you're gonna,
We
yeah,
would have to pay him out of storm, I would have guessed. I don't know how it works. I'm new at that part.
probably have to amend the salary ordinance to include an additional position, and then you're gonna have to have some funding source for the salary and hourly.
Yeah, Kevin knows.
Oh, Kevin,
Kevin.
So, if you're gonna pursue this, I would suggest you sit down with Phyllis
and work it out.
and you guys work it out, especially if you're talking about one of them possibly doing some of the meter reading for the water department. It might be a combination of sources that...
Carrie,
fund the
Don,
position.
Kevin, Phyllis, and I, if we can all get together, maybe kind of come up with a battle plan and address this again at the 19th.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, right now it's working out fine for me, but I've taken Carrie's.
Sooner or later, Carrie's gonna need the help.
All right.
Okay, thanks, Don.
Yep.
We
Do
have...
we need a motion, or do we already close that on that expenditure?
Did we vote on the Fleming?
Yes.
We had a motion and a second.
Okay, and then the
Phyllis said we
additional
voted.
repair of what we called estimated
Yeah.
$6,000.
Yeah,
to take care of it.
yep.
I just wanted to check.
Take care of the tap.
I didn't have it down as a motion, so I just wrote it down.
You made the motion.
Good.
Need to make a matter of record Sharon Brown's retirement letter.
You have to read it out loud.
I do?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Dated October 22nd. You got to understand Sharon's sense of humor.
Yeah.
To whom it may concern, as I prepare to become another statistic and officially join the ranks of old farts, i.e. retirees, please accept my date of expiration as October 31st, 2019. Woo-hoo. Sincerely, Sharon. Yeah, the one she gave Kurt is really good. It was so good he framed it. So I'll make that a matter of record.
that we make a matter of record that Sharon Brown is retiring.
Yep.
Second.
She's gone. Thank you. A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Change orders number 6 and 7 for Hannah Nutman project, Fleming Excavating. A lot of this was, if I'm not mistaken, hauling in, a lot of that hauling in the diamond dirt or whatever,
First one's all stone,
or stone. That's right, parking lot stuff.
$259.50. And hauling stone in from 900 gravel pit. That was on 1, 2, 3 days.
30,000.
$30,295.60.
So the total claim is,
I didn't total them. I
That's
did
all right.
them separate, because one's change order number 6, and the other one's change order number 7.
And, but 6, say it again, 6 is how much?
$259.50.
Okay.
And did you do the second one?
7 is,
And 7 is $30,295.60.
that one was a bunch of stone.
that was the hauling of stone.
Actually, it was 3,275.2
Tons.
And the 259.50 was for what?
Hauling stone in from Stone Street, .5 ordered, And then it had the triaxle dump truck on overtime, 1.5.
But that's still holding the retainage, correct? The
Yeah,
40,000 on the retainage or whatever it was.
Motion to approve those, so.
If you want, before we approve them, we can talk a little bit to the Board of Works and council members about the last meeting we had for Hannah Nutman and our funds. And I got some of that in here with me somewhere, Jeremy. All right.
Talking with Phyllis, I'd like to hold that retainage for a few more weeks because there's a couple little things that they don't
I must have left it
quite
there on
have
my desk.
completed.
That 40,000?
Yeah. So I want to hold that and make sure that they get back relatively soon.
Here it is. Okay. Do you have your figures in front of you, Jeremy?
No, I do not.
Okay. Would you like to have them? The original ones?
Email that to me.
That's what I kind of revised, and here's your original one, if this helps you better. We talked about the amount of funds we have for Hannah Nutman now, what we have coming in, and what we have budgeted for next year. And then and then Jeremy put a pencil to, he's been out talking to people like Arnold Lumber about building our concession stands. And he's talked to various plumbers about doing plumbing and electrical. And so he's got somewhat of a, what do you want to call it? Engineer, it's not an engineer, but an estimate based on facts that these guys have given you.
Inflated estimates.
Inflated, yeah, and you inflated them. So if you want to kind of go through it, Jeremy, go ahead.
Okay. Which, do they have copies of these?
No,
or?
I don't even have a copy. I gave you what I had.
All right. Okay, currently, the cash balance, which includes the donations and Adams County Community Foundation funds, we have $599,584.78.
That's monies that Phyllis has in an account from donations and funds at the Community Foundation.
Okay, expenses approved, 913, 464, 259. Basically, invoices that you would approve this evening: Bergdahl Properties, 1156. Fleming balance, pay app number 3, 5257. We're holding these final retainage at 448, 927, 85. So if you total all those up, it drops you to, this number's not going to be correct because of the retainage. It says 519,618.25. So basically, I'm going to skip over some of that. The estimated our estimated cash balance as of today is $81,541.53.
That's as of paying the bills that were
As of paying
claimed
today.
tonight, yeah.
What we would like to do is keep moving forward and try to get as much of this completed as we can, obviously sooner than later. About a month or so ago, we talked about purchasing the light pole bases for the field lighting. I'd really like to hold off on that at this point and try to get some of these other projects completed. That would add in an additional $38,849 into the cash balance. So if you add that back in, your cash balance would be, your adjusted cash balance would be $120,390.53. This is where you lose me going back and forth.
Just go off your original one, right? They're not that
Yours
far
and mine.
apart. Then we have monies coming in yet this year from donations.
Okay, so what we want to do, okay, yeah, this gets me back on track here. What we would like to do at this point, talking with Jim from Custom Net Backstops, he is the individual doing the fencing backstops. We had a pre-construction meeting with him last week. Donna and I and Matt and Sue and Jim met out at the complex. Talked about some things that we probably should be looking at. A few of the things that I did not figure into the fence bid and the backstop bid, partially due to funding, not knowing exactly where we're at on our cash, and also looking at some other options, was the foul poles. You have 6 diamonds, 2 foul poles each. You know, we were hoping to be able to purchase them and install them. We were thinking between $12,000 and $14,000. Jim got me a price on them through his company to purchase and install them for $11,700. It doesn't make sense for us to do it.
Yep.
They're already setting up the fields. So that's something that I would like to pursue with through a change order through Jim. The other, one of the other options, which Ken had found an option cheaper with the same material, was to purchase and install the fence cap.
Yeah, fence cap's that yellow thing on top. It's back there in the corner, matter of fact. Carrie, hold that yellow thing up. That goes on top of the home run fence on each field. From a distance, it kind of looks like drain tile, but it's not. Yeah, it's a heavy-duty product, comes in 4-foot sections.
So in short, we're saving about $2,000. Because he wanted $6,600 for all that, and it appears it's going to be a little over about $4,000 or about $4,200. The bases, home plates, pitching rubbers, we don't want anything to do with that. As to purchase them, install them, you're looking at $10,576.42. So what I would like to do, I guess my first request, is to allow Jim through a change order to get the bases coming, get the pitching rubbers, get them installed, and also do the foul poles. So you're looking at about 22, round up 277, 22,277 to do that work. That would be through a change order, through the company that you're already using. Like, be like 22,277 rounded up. It's like 276 and some change.
Is the state doing the fencing?
Yes.
That way, with them doing all that,
All done at once.
it's all done at once. It's all done through the same mobilization. They're doing all the measuring. They're getting everything set exactly like it's supposed to be set, so we're not dealing with 2 different people here. And by approving these 2 change orders, everything's completed then inside the fence. From the fence, the backstops, the bases, other than putting the yellow tile on, which we can do that with no problem.
So he's laying out the bases.
He's laying out the bases and everything. Yep, he's doing all that. That way, there's no question.
That's something they do.
They do it every day.
Regular.
Yeah. They've done Parkview Field, they've done
Everything from Little League fields to big league fields, yeah.
If he can't do it, he shouldn't be doing work.
Basically. 2 sets of bases or just one?
There's 2. There's the Hollywood bases, so. So, you know, that adjusts our balance here, so you're looking at, you know, almost 85, about 88,000 in a balance once you get to that point. Go ahead, Tyler.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you in the middle of this. With that, when you told us you had 120,000 in cash balance, did that include the bid for the fencing or not? For the
That's
That's already
pulled out.
Yeah, it's already pulled out, yeah.
Yep, that's already pulled out.
Okay, 120 left.
So, what I've done is I've talked with several different people. Over the course of, since we met last, I know it wasn't at the last meeting, so probably over the last month or so, on design releases and designs, looking at pavilions and looking at several different things. We've received some really, really nice offers for donations towards this project. I don't have anything firmed up on paper. I have inflated estimates at this point. I really don't want to share all these numbers at this point until we get more facts and figures and make sure that everything is kosher. But what I would like to do over the next several weeks, with your permission, is to finalize the concession building designs, which they're basically finalized already. They're lacking the state approval through the fire marshal's office. Go through the quote process for construction for 2 buildings and see where we end up at. The plumbing, talked with at least one local plumber here. They're looking at a pretty substantial donation back towards the project. So I'm looking at being able to, over the next few months here, to be able to construct most of the building, most of the 2 concession stands. The pavilion, the plan calls for 1 pavilion. The concrete floors in both buildings, because we've received 2 donations for that. That will get us for a total, and all this work will not be completed in 19.
Right.
Obviously, part of it will be in the spring of 20. You're looking 230. We're looking right at about 230 on the building so far. So the pavilion, I'm gonna throw a high number out at 12. It's high, but it's 12. What we need to do is, and bear with me here, I'm going back and forth from my notes to Ken's notes here. We still have $149,000 in pledges coming in.
That would be like from Bungie, they've been paying theirs monthly, like $8,000 a month. They still have a few payments. Rev is, their second payment of $100,000 is supposed to come this month.
When's your original version?
I got part of it here.
I have a list of about 5 or 6 places that donated some, and then they're going to donate more later this year. So we have about $149,000 coming yet this year.
So going forward, on the $149,000 in pledges coming in, Phyllis has about $340,000 set aside for 20, giving us a total available of $489. Under Ken's portion here, he has about needed, after first of the year, to complete what we've listed at $371, $585.89. There's a lot of pieces to that. So, in my estimate, for an example, I figured in a substantial amount of money for overages. Mm-hmm. Because you don't really know, and I would rather give you money back. I added in 20% cushion, and 20% cushion was $64,000. So,
Long story short, everything that we wanted to do in phase 1, which will get the kids in there playing, which will have gravel parking lots, which will have the pavilion built, which would have a playground. What am I missing? Scoreboards.
The scoreboards, which we're not real sure yet.
Yeah.
You could spend a lot of money on scoreboards, and you could spend minimal money on scoreboards.
But we have the funding between what we have now, what we have coming, and what's budgeted for next year. We're fine. So,
I guess what I'm asking for permission for at this point to keep the project moving, as long as I comply within the purchasing ordinance. Are you guys willing to keep this going throughout the winter months? Keep bringing you the quotes?
yeah, we'll have to. Yeah.
You know, everything is going to be under the bid amount, so it's either quotes or sealed quotes at this point forward.
So they could do all this fencing work as winter's here?
Mm-hmm.
He has about
Snow
three.
next week.
He has about 3 months worth of fencing. Obviously, if it gets really, really cold, you know,
So it's-
they'll be gone for a few days.
It's
or weeks.
fencing from where the dugouts are, out to the home run fence and around back into the dugout. From the dugout to the backstops is netting. Yeah. And then behind home plate is block. With on the inside of wall of that, it's padded.
His estimated time is about, he's going to tell you 6 to 8 days per diamond. He's thinking more realistically after they get the first one done, probably they should be able to almost pull one off in a week. So if you figure in all of that, you know, you're 6 to 8 weeks. If you figure in some wet days, some very cold days, and some white days, and
This getting the fencing and the netting.
Yeah.
the fencing and the netting, that bid was approved after the last meeting, the day after the last meeting. So that number's aside of what we're talking about right here.
Yeah, the poles are out there. Poles and fence has been delivered. It's ready to go.
Yes, the dugouts are out of that number. The dugouts were 25,660.
We paid Fleming a lot of money.
Plumbing was budgeted, 500,000 was budgeted on that's the income tax for plumbing. And now, but like the retainage, will come out of the park donation fund, which has all the donations in the park donation fund.
I wish it was as easy as just having some kind of a spreadsheet and looking at it, but we got money here, and we got money there, and we got money coming in, and we got, you know, it just doesn't work that way, I find out, with Phyllis, because she's got money coming from different places.
That's true with what Jerry just laid out. We have spent this year's money, what's due in next year's, and we've got everything done but lights and
Parking lots.
paved parking lots.
Yeah, and
You're gonna have
there's-
a few things.
There's still going to be like the trail for now, likely be gravel that goes all the way around the park. Doesn't include a lot of landscaping, which he does have trees ordered for out there. If you've noticed, if anybody's been out there, if you pull in off of Washington Street and go back along the creek, that area, that one field has kind of an elevated,
Can you pull that up now? Do you have a...
yeah, it's the old one, has kind of an elevated
Do you have Miller's
hump, you know, with like a little ditch below it.
If you can pull up Miller's blueprint and go to 3.0.
Jeremy would like to put, you know, there's several trees, I think there's 3 that were at the Little League field, and 1 that's for Brittany Raymond down at the girls' field. But the 3 plus some other trees, Jeremy would like to plant along that little mound that's out there along that home run fence.
The reason I was asking that, maybe it's already included in there, but I just remember when Roger and Nate passed away.
Yep,
There
yep,
were more over.
yep. Yeah, and he's got trees ordered, more trees coming.
I've got 127 trees coming this week for various places citywide. So, new construction trees, replacement trees, hand trees.
Those will be planted yet this year then.
Yeah. And a lot of them are potted, so you just go out and you auger a hole and you drop it in a hole and mulch it, and, you know, you can do 15 or 20 of them a day. seems like a lot of trees, but it's not.
Goes fast.
It's not really. But, you know, with
It's our
these,
Tree
with these
USA
figures that
thing
we're
that we-
talking about, you know, also does figure in some room for, like the playground and stuff. You know, I just allotted so much money for a playground. Playground's expensive. You know, so at some point we'll have to figure out in the spring, you know, what do we want to get started with.
Pass that down to
And,
Wayne.
you know, and then possibly add
That's
something.
Craig. That's for the next meeting. That's kind of what we kind of discussed in our meeting this morning as to what we're gonna,
Some of that,
It's kind of
if
the notes.
it, 3-0 done. Some of that, if it
Gotta
comes
keep
out,
moving, Jeremy.
depending on how it's put in. A lot of that is if it's concrete at the end, some of them concrete them, some of them don't, you end up bending the poles and busting everything. That's a problem we had with some of what we thought we could save out there. If it called for a yard of concrete, they used about 10 yards of concrete. And it was just impossible to get on the ground. It's a normal one that we look at, Don.
Yeah, it's loading the whole,
That's fine. But, you know, I feel pretty good with it, but it's like anything else, well, we're out of money, we're out of money. You know, on our cash that we have. You know, until we get either the more donations or get into the next fiscal budget cycle or we reappropriate.
But you're already seeing as you're going out soliciting these talks, some others are willing to give more or in kind.
One thing that we did talk about in some of our meetings, we've been having monthly meetings, is some of the sidewalks that go around the facility that we're going to need in there before we get it open. We have talked with Phyllis about using a little bit of the sidewalk money to get that in there and put it in with our own workforce. That work will probably end up
and another thing I want to kind of mention, you see the clusters of fields, and you see the dark area, like where the concession stand is. You see what I'm talking about, everyone? Yeah, yeah, in that area there. Okay.
Those
Don and Jeremy
there.
suggested that we not concrete that this year. Okay? Explain that, Jeremy.
Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to go in here and you're going to build your concession buildings. You're going to frame them up. You're not going to pour the floor in them right away. It'd be like a pole barn structure. Throughout the course of running conduits for parking lot lighting,
Scoreboards.
AEP lighting, scoreboards. You know, we want to hold off as long as we can, and make absolutely sure that we have everything in this area
Before we
done
concrete it.
before we pour that. You know, and if there's problems, let's put some smaller gravel in there for at least through the first part of the season. You know, to make sure so we're not going back there and tearing things out. I'm hopeful as much as I know I've been thinking about this project a lot, and Don has, and Ken has also. I'm hopeful that we'll catch everything early on that needs to go in there. But we will be putting in additional conduits in places where we're thinking that, you know, we may need to get something out. You know, whether it's, you don't know what it's going to be. You know, I don't want to go back in there and be cutting all that out. Okay, oh, we forgot this.
So you see them playing there next spring?
Yeah,
But no lights.
as long as we can keep moving.
Right.
The lighting is going to be a whole other budget.
6 fields is $840,000. Now, if we want to decide that, hey, we want to light one field at each end for now, I mean, that 840 does all 6 fields. Maybe we don't need to ever do all 6 fields. So, I mean, that's something we have to decide later.
But with that 840 that he's talking about, that's not poles at every field. A lot of those are poles that are shared.
Yep.
You know, if you get into this area, and as we talk more about this, you're here, Don and I using common areas, the term common areas. Just so you know, this is common area, this is common area all the way through here. You know, here's your fields. So if you get into these common areas here is where you're going to have one pole that's going to have 2 lights on it.
Going both ways.
Or each field, they'll be operated independent. but instead of having, for say, 10 poles, or 20 poles, you would only have 10. You know, it cuts your poles down to about half. Also, at the same point, how we're designing this is if there's a pole out here, that there's a low light, that would get more down towards the walkways. So, you know, you're not going to have, you know, daylight on your walkways, but you're going to have more of a lighted area to where, you know, you get an 8 or 9 o'clock game or a 10 o'clock game. You know, people are coming and going, you're still going to be able to see where you're going.
Jeremy, we got some more things to cover, so we kind of got to
That's fine.
wrap this up. Long story short, what I wanted Jeremy to go over was just kind of where we are with our cash on hand, what's coming in, what's budgeted next year. He needs to get approval to continue moving forward with getting these actual quotes, with using him kind of as the general, because we're not putting out the concession stands completed by one person. We're putting out the concession stand for the building. Then we're going to put out the bid for the electrical, bid for the plumbing, bid for the concrete, separate. And that's the way we can keep our expenses at bay.
And that's just the way the donations are being offered.
It also allows for participation of local contractors.
Local funds, yeah, local guys. So basically, in short, I'll be real quick. All the diamonds will be completed, concession buildings will be up, here's your pavilion. And then whatever else we get done will be a bonus between now and then.
So you need approval to move forward with getting quotes, correct?
So moved.
Second.
Do you want to do the change order 6 and 7 first?
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Change order 6 and 7 for Fleming. We need a motion for that.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I get my...
And then we have a motion and a second for Jeremy to go ahead and proceed with getting quotes on buildings, electrical, plumbing, etc. All in favor for that? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Real quick, a couple of the guys were at the meeting, but we met with MKM the other day. At the last meeting, we talked about the hide and trying to do MKM, put it out as a, using Kurt or somebody as the general contractor. If they do that, they have to write a separate specs for every little portion, electrical, plumbing, whatever, and it's going to be a lot more work for MKM. If we allow MKM to simply cut back our scope of work, for example, taking out the wall for the retail facility, just taking more things out, he is very confident that he can write up the specs so that we can put it out to bid to local contractors, for possibly Campman and Arnold, some other local builders, and get it done for $150. And so we agreed at that meeting to go ahead and let MKM write that spec. He's going to work with Kurt. Kurt, you got any comments?
Not at this point.
Yeah.
We're meeting Thursday.
We'll have more later.
Yeah.
We go through them.
Yeah.
I do have to meet with Kevin Biggs on Thursday, 10 o'clock, to walk through the item.
Okay.
I plan on going to that also.
It's Thursday that they're meeting, at your meeting?
10 a.m.
Okay. I'll be in Florida. I'll be on my way, I should say.
But on that, I mean, I would hope that we could just hold that off till the next meeting. I know that we discussed it, but just let us go get our feet wet.
So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of update that we had that discussion. Rod Rinkenberger, if you can come up here and cover the Board of Works portion of our, I'll pass these out to the council members.
We're going to see if technology works.
I've only done this once before.
We're well into our 2017 grant now, and here's one for Bill too, Wiley. We've okayed a grant for 2018. We did that last year. And now Rod is looking at what I would kind of call the coming down the stretch grant. He put out a letter to any interested party that would want to be included on a 2019 pre-disaster mitigation grant application, and we heard from 4 homeowners. And as you see there, 2 are on Mercer Avenue, 1 on Belmont, and 1 on North 2nd. Nobody from Parkview, Meadow Lane, Angus Drive. So I kind of feel like we're coming down the home stretch here. So Rod wants to talk briefly to the Board of Works about pursuing a 2019 grant, and then he's going to do the same thing he'll give us the short version now, give it a little longer version when the media is in here for the city council meeting. Rod, if you don't have it, everybody's got a copy of this. So.
Okay, I have that. Obviously, technology's not quite working yet, so I'm going to skip I was going to try to give you an update of what we've done so you can see it graphically. If we can, maybe we can do that at the actual city council meeting, show the maps, that'll give us time.
That's fine. Okay. Yeah, the map, yeah.
So at the actual city council meeting, I will share some maps with you. But to give you an update, I know it's been a little over a year last year. This time I said it was probably the last time you would see me and I would be here. And we were appraising, we had deployed the appraisers for the 2017 grant, which finally had gotten approved. I think the mayor had shared that with you. And lo and behold, Kirk's office, my office, and the mayor started getting phone calls of people interested in participating in the buyout program again. So we reached out to a number of folks, and we ended up getting 4 individuals that were interested in participating. And I think I can unequivocally tell you this time, because between the mayor, Kirk's office, Attorney Baker, myself, we have reached out and did as much with the press. Everybody knows that this has been going on, and 4 is just about the minimum that we can actually do a grant for. So I'm here tonight to share with you that we do have 4 participants that are interested. I think the mayor shared the printout with the cost share. And the price of homes has went up 15%. Adams County, Decatur, values have really popped, so the price is a little higher than we typically would expect. But for buying out 4 structures, we're looking at $499,200. FEMA would pay 75% of that. And this is the last year for the pre-disaster mitigation program as it's presently or currently known. It's going to go away, and they'll end up developing a new program. The local share would be $124,800, of which the Maumee River Basin Commission would pick up 12.5% of that at $62,400. Decatur, if you continue using Jeremy and the street department for the demolitions, the in-kind match would be $3,500, leaving a cash match needed of $30,900, which would be 6.19% of the project.
So Rod wanted to present this to get the Board of Works approval for me to take it to the council then for further review and approval from council. So
I'll make a motion that we approve this. A second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? So Rod, you can go ahead and have a seat, and we'll take this back up again at the council meeting.
Okay. Hopefully we can get technology to work.
Maybe figured it out, Rod.
Okay. Other items that we have to approach at the Board of Works meeting, I don't know if there's anything. Rod? Jeremy?
Were the salt bids approved
At the last meeting.
at the last meeting? Okay.
Do you want to approach us about the trucks that you want to do? You got time?
Yeah, just real quick. Last 3 years in the park budget, I've initially asked for a replacement truck. We have a 1996 Dodge Ram 3/4 ton that they mow with, or they use to pull mowers. They do all the snow removal and stuff with it. It's in very poor shape. 2020 would be the third year it was put in the budget, and the third year that it was removed from the budget due to funds not being available. So I wrote a squeeze of the dollars in 19. I talked with the park board, I talked with Phyllis about this transferring money, and biting the bullet and buying a truck here in 19. We really don't have much of a choice with that. I talked with Kelly, Kelly Chevrolet, Ford, Dodge, everything else. And we can buy off the QPA, which is the state bid, through the city of Fort Wayne. The city of Fort Wayne actually holds contracts, so you're not buying any trucks any cheaper. I don't have the total dollar amount, but what I can tell you, going a couple months from now and up into a couple months, the water department would like to get a truck for around $27,000. The 4-wheel drive trucks that we would plow snow with is like $32,400. So I'm asking for permission tonight for the water department to get a half-ton 4-wheel drive truck around the 27. I don't have the total number with me. I really didn't think we'd have time to go through this. Get a money transfer within the parks department, which the park board has already approved. Get them a truck. And then also looking forward, and we're not ready to do it right now, but there is money in MVH for 2 additional trucks, 2 more trucks on top of that in 20. What I would like to do is talk back and forth with Kelly, make sure that if we go into 20, which I think the contract is good until at the end of 21, of being able to use the current state contract to do the 2 additional in for MVH after the first of the year. Which it's all budgeted money. It's just how we're getting to that point of having to get a hold of with those dollars.
Yeah, my permission.
Second. I guess that's a motion and a second, Jeremy. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good deal. We got 3 minutes to spare. I think we'll Phil says something. Oh.
Just the 2020 holidays.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys want to change anything on those, or just keep them the same?
Is that theirs?
Holidays, Board of Works does.
Really? It's Board of Works. So the holidays are New Year's, but how is it, 12 of them, 13? 13 holidays.
Same as last year?
Same as last year.
Yeah, make a motion. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Looking for a motion to adjourn the Board of Works.
Motion to adjourn the Board of Works. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?